Hi, today I'm going to talk about transportation in the Capital Federal of Buenos Aires, City of Buenos Aires. The public transportation is excellent. There are buses called colectivos. There is a subway system referred to as the Subte that are excellent for getting around the city, anywhere you want to go. And besides that, they are very, very inexpensive. The fare is ridiculous. I was reminded today in preparing for this video that when I was going to high school in the city of Chicago, occasionally I would take the bus to high school. It was only a mile away, and so often I walked. But in Chicago during the winter, the bus is an alternative. And in those days, in the 60s, the fare was 12 cents. Well, the bus fare isn't much more than that right now in Buenos Aires. So you can do without a car. It's wonderful. You could be carefree, car-free in the city. I've been here for 23 years and don't have a driver's license, never need a car, because I can take the bus. I usually walk, get around. This is a walking city as well, and lots of things to see and do, and so walking is a good way to get exercise anyway. So there's public transportation with the colectivos or the Subte, and of course there are taxis. I think they say there are 30,000 taxi drivers in the city of Buenos Aires, a phenomenal number. So, and many of them are independent drivers. All of the cars have to be painted yellow and black to identify them. And it's another way you can get around if you're in a bit of a hurry. And you can just walk out on the street corner and hail a taxi from the curb. And then the meter keeps track of the fare, of course. But even those I use very rarely. And aside from the public transportation and taxis, that you can also hire a private car to get around the city. They are called Remis, R-E-M-I-S. And there's also bicycle stations in all the neighborhoods that you can use free of charge. And many people do to get to work. So you get a bicycle where you live, you ride it. I think you have a limit of 1 hour to use it, and then it has to be checked in another bicycle station. So it's free. Public transportation is practically free. We have what's called the Subte card, S-U-B-E, that you charge with pesos for use on either the public buses, colectivos, or on the Subte, the subway. And you can also use you need some kind of an identification card with your, in order to rent a bicycle. Well, it's not even renting, it's using it for an hour. And these are very, very sturdy bicycles. They're very heavy. In fact, one time, there's a station just 2 blocks away from my apartment. So I went over one day and put in my access code and and got on the bike. I love to ride a bicycle, but I got about a half a block away and it was just too big and heavy to manage. So I brought it back. And these are, as I said, really big, heavy bicycles, very sturdy, with a carrier on the front for those who are going to work and need to bring something along. And the bike lanes they've been around in the city now for about 7 or 8 years. And there's a bike lane right out in front of my apartment building. And people are passing by all the time. It has 2 lanes. So they took away parking on one side of the street solely to have bicycles, for bicycle use only. So there's so many wonderful things that the city government is doing in Buenos Aires. And certainly bicycles were a great addition to the public transportation, because people can get around and don't have to pay. And it's accessible, and you can get to almost anywhere you're going then within an hour using a bicycle. You have to know a few things if you're going to use a taxi, because there are 2 kinds of taxis. There are independent drivers, and then there are those which are associated with an agency. It's probably better until you know your way and you know the language well enough to use the taxis that are associated with an agency. And you have that information which is indicated on the door of the taxi, which agency they work for. And that way they always have contact, and they know if you call, for example, you can call a particular agency in your area where you're living and register with your telephone number, and then they will know where you are, and you just call them when you need a taxi. And you don't have to wait on the street for one to drive by, but they're everywhere. Except it's more difficult on a Saturday night when people are going places, and it's tough to get a taxi in certain areas at that time. So I recommend, I know people that come to Buenos Aires, move here, and they have their car transported. I don't think it's worth it. Besides, you could actually live without a car. I've proved it for 23 years that life is good and you can get around without a car. So, and also besides which the fuel here is different, and so it may not be good for your car. The diesel fuel that's here at gas stations, and I know that there is a huge increase in the price of gasoline in the United States for a gallon, but here gasoline is sold by the liter, and I have no idea what the cost is, but if you need to have a car, you can always get one here. You can always buy a car here. First, you have to get a driver's license here. So, but I say, if you're coming here, your retirement, keep life simple. Don't bother with a car and insurance and getting it, taking it to the mechanic for repairs and paying for gas and then finding parking for it, because you'd have to live in a building where there's a garage. and you still have to pay for that. You have to buy the parking space in the building. So it just adds to your living expense. So I'm talking directly to seniors like me who have a limited income. You're living on Social Security, okay? And you just make do with what you have, and you don't have to have your own transportation, when public transportation, especially if you're going to live in the city of the capital, you don't need it. You absolutely do not need it. It would be a nuisance. I mean, people are always looking for a place to park. and if you want to get somewhere, you can go walk out your door, hold up your hand, and flag down a taxi and get to where you want to go. So, or go get a bicycle, which doesn't cost anything. So I mentioned private cars for hire. I'm going to be going to pick some friends up who are arriving next week from Germany to dance tango here. And I'm going to go out to the international airport, which is called Pistarini, but it's also called Ezeiza. And I'm going to hire a car, a large car, okay? Not to drive, with a driver, to pick me up here at my apartment and then drive about 30 minutes on the highway out to the airport and meet this couple and then bring them back into the city to their apartment that they've rented. So there are so many options for transportation that you just don't need a car. I mean, even if you wanted to go to another province in Argentina, you can take a bus, which is called a micro. There is, of course, transportation. So many people do not have cars. And so there is a lot of good transportation here. So a micro bus is for long distance travel. Another option, of course, is going by plane. Other than, aside from the international airport, Ezeiza, in Buenos Aires, there is also a national airport called Newbery, which is in the barrio of Palermo. Those flights from Newbery are national flights. Some to other provinces in the country, and also to Chile and Uruguay, neighboring, bordering countries around Argentina. So, if you want to go see the whales down in Chubut, you go to the Newbery Airport in Palermo to get you there. Or if you want to go up north to Jujuy or Tucumán or Entre Rios and one of the northern provinces, it's a long trip by car. I don't know why anybody would do it, but on a bus it's a little more comfortable because you don't have to do the driving. But if you want to maximize your time where you're going to visit, your destination, then you probably would want to take a plane, air travel, okay? So, and even traveling around the country is relatively inexpensive. I, at Christmas, took a microbus to a northern province called Santa Fe, where I have some friends, and I visited them in the city of Rosario. From Buenos Aires to Rosario, the trip is 4 hours, but it usually takes a little longer with traffic, maybe 5 hours to finally get, and then you have transportation to where you're going, your destination. And so that's the way I went. And I think I calculated, maybe I paid on my US credit card, it was $60 round trip for the ticket. So it's affordable, it's accessible, and when you need to go somewhere, you can get around in the city. Even now, the subway stations permit people to take their bicycles along in the last car, and it's great. So if you have a lightweight bicycle that you can carry down the stairs to get to the subway car, you can take it wherever you're going. And so they're making it so you can you can take your bike with and then take a nice long ride once you get there to the end of the line, so to speak. So, as I said, the public transportation here is incredible, and use it. Forget using a car. There isn't any place that you need to go with, where you need a car, and then you have to find a place. Like if you were to go to a big football game, for example, it wouldn't be worth it because everybody else is going. So many other people are going there in cars. Take the bus. Take the bus and leave the driving to the drivers, and so you don't have to worry about it. See, what else did I want to say about bicycles are free. Public transportation is cheap. It's practically free, and there are lots of taxis to get around in. When I moved here, I used to take a taxi to the Milongas when I went to dance, and then I realized how much I was spending each month on taking taxis, because I was going out 6 nights a week. And I decided to learn how to use the bus, which also helped me to learn and to know the city and get to know the streets and where I was going. And now, of course, after 23 years, I've been to a number of neighborhoods. I can't say I've been to every part, but of the city, because the city is very large. There is a population of 3 million people in the city of Buenos Aires. And during the day, when people come to work, there's a population of 6 million people. So that tells you there's a lot of transportation coming into the city. The highways coming into the city are bumper to bumper. And I don't know why people do it, but they do. Each to his own. But you don't need a car in this great city that has great public transportation. So if you have any questions about anything else concerning transportation here, just leave a comment below and I'll try to answer you. Okay? So thanks for watching this video in the series Get Ready for Retirement in Buenos Aires. I'm Janice, and thank you for watching. Until the next video.